is somebody that has some kind of harm that they would have standing to bring these suits. And apparently right now there are 14 of them in state courts that are trying to proceed, and that was another question, an answer that was brought up before the Supreme Court today, that yes, there are currently state suits that are going on, and that's the appropriate place for these to happen at the initial stages. So I think 10 days is when you'll see orders for summary judgment, and that again is the correct place for these cases to happen is in the state courts, not in the federal courts at this time.
This court had, this case, I think, Harry, uniquely has, because of the way George said, it's moved up through the system so quickly, and things are moving so rapidly. And it's really kind of, I mean, we can have a decision in a week here. You can have a decision in 3 days.
I think that's true, and I think the timeline that you outlined for us suggests that many proponents of abortion believe that abortion is indeed a morally superior right. It's an elevated constitutional right. I think the court was perhaps wise to accelerate its decision-making in this particular case because there is strong public interest in the case. But I also think the court is very, very cautious about granting the DOJ, that is the Department of Justice, and Planned Parenthood, the relief that they seek for a couple of reasons, not the least of which is they can't really enumerate what relief they're seeking, but also if they grant relief in this case, they open essentially a Pandora's box of additional litigation down the road. Everyone will then run to the federal courts, perhaps run to the Supreme Court and say, no, my rights have not yet been violated, but they will be violated. And I think the Supreme Court is rightly worried about the consequences of any such decision making.
All right, let's, again, I want to encourage you if you have questions about this, and we know that this is getting into the technicals, but if you care about this life issue, these are extremely important cases. I would, just to be flat out, 10 years ago, a case like this gets to the Supreme Court, you find it out, of course, we always find it out. But the likelihood of basically getting a piece of paper back to the Supreme Court was 99.9. I don't even know if it was like 100%. Right. So the fact that these are even being considered, that the justices are having to go through these mental motions and think through all of this is because of the new justices on the court. It's the new justices on the court. It's states coming up with creative ways to address the abortion issue. As I said, we're representing South Dakota in an informed consent case that I think is very unique. And very significant in that regard. So, and you're right, we're going to find out in not too long, about a month, during the oral arguments, where the court's leaning, at least, on Roe versus Wade. These are very hard, and I never like predicting a case on oral arguments. We're not going to do it here. And on this one in particular, it's very technical. But the fact that the court's addressing these issues, I think, is a big deal. This is a big deal. This is the biggest series of abortion cases in our lifetime since Roe.
Well, certainly since Roe, and that's a long time. And the court, as Professor Hutchinson pointed out, sees the public interest in these cases, the public importance in these cases, and expedites the hearing of them, puts them on a short string, and we are having two cases argued simultaneously today, and on a very short deadline. These are honing in on the procedural aspects, which is what the case is about at this juncture.
All right, folks, we come back, we continue to analyze this, continue the case being argued right now at the U.S. Supreme Court, and take your calls, 1-800-684-3110, that's 1-800-684-3110, and let me be there too, go to aclj.org, all the information there, you can find our brief there as well, and to be a part of moment for pro-life movement, give us a call, 1-800-684-3110, we'll be right back.
At the American Center for Law and Justice, we're engaged in critical issues at home and abroad. For a limited time, you can participate in the ACLJ's Matching Challenge. For every dollar you donate, it will be matched. A $10 gift becomes $20. A $50 gift becomes $100. You can make a difference in the work we do, protecting the constitutional and religious freedoms that are most important to you. Give a gift today online at aclj.org.
Tune in for New Life Live, America's #1 Christian counseling call-in radio program at 1 p.m. Eastern. But first, hear more from the American Center of Law and Justice on J Secular Live. You're listening to Family Talk on Sirius XM 131. Make an impact on your world. Listen to Enjoying Everyday Life with Joyce Meyer at 2:45 Eastern Time here on Family Talk.
Keeping you informed and engaged. This is Secular. I'm your host, Gordon Secular.
So, what your calls to is the Texas cases before the U.S. Supreme Court. We'll reset the stage for you too, so you understand what is before the court. This is a case of a state law that if allows private individuals to bring a private right of action. So it's not the state enforcing abortion laws. It's private individuals on instances where the law is violated. They can then bring an action. If they're successful, it's $10,000. It's a $10,000 claim. Then there's question, has everybody been deputized? You got everybody running around Texas trying to file lawsuits against abortions. That's how they've tried to set the stage. The abortion industry has basically said, we're not operating in Texas right now. I think there's one or two abortionists who are flouting the law and saying, we're going to continue doing this. But for the most part, there's a giant Planned Parenthood facility in Houston, for instance, that they put a lot of abortions on hold. Now they're trying to use that for their own argument. See, we can't do what you've given us the constitutional protection to do in Roe versus Wade and the other Supreme Court cases because of this law. And what the justices are asking back is, this law, one, you're just trying to stop it before you've even seen how it works. So, and Texas has been explaining more about how it works. I want to hear from you at 1-800-684-3110. When you have this case, it was just 2 days ago, a Friday, and we got the order that briefing would be doing in 5 days. So we'd have Friday afternoon to Wednesday afternoon of last week. And then the oral argument being today on two different cases, two cases arising out of the same law. One is the abortion industry's challenge to the judge who's being defended by Texas, and then the DOJ challenge to Texas was also being defended by Texas. That is now, so that case is at the Supreme Court. We will get a decision on that pretty quickly because this was a kind of an emergency action. Second case, Dobbs, we probably won't get it really quickly. That's on Mississippi's, that's the heartbeat bill. That is a direct challenge to Roe versus Wade. There are direct challenges to Roe versus Wade in both of these cases today. The oral arguments have not spent much time on that. The justices have, of course, alluded to this is here because this is abortion. The fact that we played that by from Justice Alito, that you basically want us to have a rule just for this kind of, just for abortion, and everything else would be different.
Yeah, and it was because as we said earlier in the broadcast, it's the abortion distortion factor. So actually, even Justice Breyer mentioned this. I'm going to play that bite in this next segment coming up. This is a long bite, but it's important to break it down. But I do think it's worth pointing out here at the outset of the second half hour of the broadcast that, remember, this case is the prelude to the Dobbs case. And CC, in the Dobbs case, we have the direct challenge. I mean, it's here too, but it's really the issue granted of a search warrant involved the constitutionality of Roe versus Wade.
Right. So in Dobbs, the court will be talking about the actually judicially fabricated right to abortion that they created in Roe v. Wade. So Dobbs taught that law, it stops abortions after 15 weeks. And the question then becomes, as a state, when do they have a compelling interest to protect the life of an unborn baby? And so it goes right to the heart of Roe.
And I think that's exactly, like I said, these cases, Jordan, are the warm-up. Now, I want to say this also to our ACLJ members. We were able to file a brief. I think we had to do it in 4 days.
No, we were on the air when the order came out on Friday. It was last Wednesday, so in the weekend plus, yes, 4 days.
4 days. So, but here it is. And that's because of the support of members like you that this filed at the Supreme Court of the United States. So for all of our members out there, we want to say thank you for standing with us on this important issue. Now, this is the first day of our November matching challenge, which means this is the month where any amount you donate, we get a matching gift.
That's right. You can donate online at aclj.org. It's a busy time on life, especially. Remember, on all those issues, like we've been tracking that infrastructure, the tax issue there.